What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of your Mystro Weekly Industry Roundup. My name is Randy Shear, also known as Uberman from YouTube, and I'm here in collaboration with Mystro, the app for Android that aggregates your rideshare experience. So we're going to jump right into this today. Number one on my list from the Chicago Sun-Times says taxi limo ride-hailing drivers call on Lightfoot to cap rideshare vehicles. And this is something that we've already seen in New York City. Now, as far as the cap is concerned, I absolutely think a cap has become necessary in many major markets. The reason being, in some of these larger markets that have been well established, you're going to see a lot of drivers all the time. You've got rideshare drivers just popping up all the time. There's no schedule, there's no rhyme or reason, so you just have drivers popping up everywhere. And what this does is it creates more supply than there is demand, so you end up with a lot of drivers sitting around not making any money, and in some cases losing money while they're sitting there idling their cars, letting their cars run, or driving around trying to find spots where they can get pickups. But unfortunately, there's just so many drivers and not enough passengers to keep them busy. So I do think a cap is a great idea. Now, the next thing they want to do is something that I just do not agree with right now, and they want to do basically the same thing New York City did with a minimum wage for drivers. And the problem with this is, as we've seen in New York, and as I covered in a previous Industry Roundup video, an extensive study was done in New York City, and it showed that this minimum wage actually has been hurting the rideshare companies as well as hurting drivers' pockets as well, because in order to compensate for this new minimum wage, rideshare companies have to raise rates. By raising rates, passengers stop using the service as much. Passengers start finding other alternatives, cheaper alternatives, and thus it hurts the rideshare drivers and the rideshare companies. So I don't think we should be implementing a standardized wage for drivers just yet. I think we need more time to see what's going on in New York City and how this is going to play out over a longer period of time before we go working on that. But as far as the cap on drivers, I absolutely agree. We've got to start regulating the number of cars on the road at any given time. Number two on my list is from Los Angeles Magazine, and it says, a battle is brewing over those digital billboards on rideshare roofs. Now, I think these digital billboards are a great way for drivers to earn some extra money, as well as a great way for the billboard sign company to make money from the advertisers, and a great way for the advertisers to market their product to the public. I think it's a win-win-win in this case for everybody, but unfortunately, LA's not really feeling it, so they're trying to put a stop to this. Now, if you look around New York City, again, larger markets, Chicago, you'll see these all over taxis all day long, and apparently it's not a problem. But right now, rideshare drivers having it, suddenly this is an issue. And this company, Firefly, they have been working really hard to try to work with the city. And unfortunately, the city has basically just been ignoring them. They've sent all kinds of studies that they've had done on their billboards to make sure they're compliant, and the city has done everything except for respond to them. And now they're going so far as to go straight up against them and try to put them out of business, basically. They're trying to take them off of the cars. Now, literally, these billboards number in the hundreds in LA, so I don't think it's really a big problem right now, and I don't see how it's a problem at all. If it's okay for taxi drivers, why isn't it okay for Uber and Lyft drivers? I mean, we need to be making as much money as possible, and this is just another opportunity for drivers to make more money. I don't understand the reasoning for trying to take money out of drivers' pockets. I think it's good for the economy. It's good for everyone. Number three on my list is from WCVB5 in Boston, and this is something that I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of. They're calling this a rideshare crackdown bill, and what they're doing is they're pushing for fingerprinting of drivers, because they found in Boston, I think 30,000 rideshare drivers that basically slipped through the proverbial crack when it came to Uber and Lyft's background checks. And these are people that they feel should not have been on the road transporting the general public. So I think you're going to see a lot more of this in the future, and I do kind of understand both sides. I get why rideshare companies don't like it, why drivers don't like it. I also get why the city feels like it's necessary. The city has definitely some responsibility to public safety, and if rideshare companies are not doing a thorough enough job making sure that their drivers are safe to be transporting passengers around, then it probably does go back to the city to make sure that this is being done properly and that the right people are in the cars transporting passengers. Passenger safety is becoming a really, really big deal lately. There's been a lot of news, a lot of stories going on it's definitely understandable why people are wanting to make sure drivers are safe to be transporting the general public. So I'm going to call that a wrap for this edition of your Mystro Weekly Industry Roundup. Catch us again next week, same time, same place. We appreciate you being here. Thank you all for joining us today. Stay safe out there, everybody, and we will catch you very soon in the next one.